This is a WAOS.ai tutorial for creating a light gun shooter game. Create an asset called background image. Just like that. Add the file URL from the tutorial in the description below. Use the Transform tab to set the X to 0, the Y to 0, the Z to 0, the width to 1200, and the height to 675. Create a second asset called robbersShot, no gun. Add the file URL. Set X to 25, Y to 700, Z to 3, width 68, and height to 150. The robber should appear below the bank. Create a third asset called robbersShot gun with the final file URL. Use an X of 120, a Y of 700, a Z of 3, a width of 114, and a height of 150. This robber should appear next to the first one. Hold Shift to select both robber assets and click on the Duplicate button. Use the Transform tab with a multi-edit of relative to change the X position of both new assets by 250 pixels. These robbers should move beside the others. Adjust the names of the new assets to say Robber Right. Create a new asset group called Characters. Hold Shift to select the 4 robbers and use the Groups tab to add the Characters group. Under the Animations section, select Edit Mode. Select the Characters group and click on the new animation. On the Attributes tab, name the animation Surprise Right and set the duration to 4 seconds. Navigate to the timeline and drag on the Robber Right no gun. Use a duration of 2. Set X start to 930, X end to 650, and both Y positions to -200. For easement, select Ease Out, and for fill mode, select None. This time, drag on the Robber Right gun. Set start time to 2 seconds and duration to 2 seconds. Use the same Y positions as last time, but with an X start of 523 and an X end of 830. For easement, select Ease In, and for fill mode, select None. That's it for the Surprise Right animation. Create a second animation called Surprise Left. Again, with a duration of 4 seconds. You'll use the Robber Left assets this time. Your no-gun asset should have an X start of -100, a X end of 250, and Y positions of -230. This time, use a linear easement. For this animation, you will have 2 Robber Left gun effects instead of 1 to make the asset move in a curve. They will both start at 2 seconds and last 2 seconds. Set the X start to 123 and X end to 450, while leaving the Y positions at 0. Use linear again. Your second effect will occur simultaneously. Leave the X positions alone, but set the Y start to -230 and the Y end to -275. Set the easement to Ease Out. Use the Robber Left gun one final time, but drag it to the scale layer. This will shrink the robber as it gets further away. Change the ending values to 80% and the easement to Ease Out. That finishes up our Surprise Left animation. To test the animations, turn off Edit Mode. Then click on each animation to make sure the robbers move correctly. That's right. Looks good to me. We'll create one last animation, which we'll call the other 2. Call it Gameplay and set the duration to 35 seconds. When creating actions, you can drag on any asset you'd like. It doesn't matter which one if it's going in the action layer. Change the tool to Animation and choose one of the surprise animations as a target to play that animation. Drag another action effect later on. Have it target the other surprise animation. Let's do a third one, but leave a bit of a gap this time. And let's slow down this animation to 70% to change things up. I'm going to drag on a few more animations with different speeds. Near the end of the animation, we're going to put down an effect to end the game. It's still an action, but change the tool to chat. Select AI Direct and type Game Time Finished. You can zoom out on the timeline to see all of your effects at once. Close those other sections and open the AI Workflows section. Create a new workflow called Shooter Game Logic. You can name the step 2 if you want. Initialize a robbersShot variable. Select Number and type 0. Add another one called playerShot. Also 0. Under the Message section, create a new generation. Add a condition to make sure the prompt is robber left shot. Increment the robbersShot variable by 1. Set the generation type to vanilla. Create an app action task. Change the tool to clear effect and target the robber left no gun asset. This will clear all of the animation effects on that asset. Create a second app action task. Set the tool to animation and target the surprise left animation. Select pause. Our first AI generation is now complete. Duplicate the generation along with its AI tasks. Go through this new generation and its 2 tasks and change each instance of left to right. Now that one's ready as well. Create a third generation to handle the player being shot if they don't react in time. This should trigger when the prompt is playerShot. All it needs to do is add a point to the playerShot variable. Now we need to add some app actions to trigger these workflow generations. Select the robber left no gun asset. On the main tab, add a new app action. We want it to trigger on pointer down so the game reacts faster. Change the tool to chat and select AI Direct. Set the message to robber left shot. We'll add the same kind of action on the robber right, no gun, asset. Use a message of robber right shot. Now on the surprise right animation, create an action effect. Set the start time to 2 seconds, right when the robber fires his guns. The action should send a message that says playerShot. On the surprise left animation, add another action just like that one. Back over in the AI Workflows section, we have some more work to do. First, let me collapse these cards to clear up some space. This is what we have right now, but we need a couple more generations. Create one for the start of the game. This should be triggered when the prompt is Start. It needs to reset both the robbersShot and the playerShot variables to 0. Then it needs to call an app action task. This task should play the gameplay animation. Create one final generation for the end of the game. The prompt for this one is Game Time Finished. Leave the generation type as text and set the AI model to something like ChatGPT 4o Mini. Paste in the message from the tutorial in the description below. Now we need to create an app action task to send the ending credits to the player. Leave the chat insertion as Send. Click this button below the Messages section so it'll use an expression. Then type Response. That's it for workflows. We're going to want to create 2 more assets to cover up the robbers when they aren't being used. Delete the file source so there's no image. On the Text tab, set the background color to white. Set the X to 1200, Y to 0, Z to 100, width to 200, and height to 900. Duplicate the asset to create the bottom border. This time the X should be 0, the Y 675, the width 1200, and the height 200. This should go right on top of the 4 robbers. You can hide the border if you want to see the robbers again. There's some settings to fix before we can try out our game. On the Features tab, change the default workflow to Shooter Game Logic. Make sure Default Chat with AI is on and the lock settings are in place. Change into User Mode to play the game. Type the Start command in the chat and hit Send. We might have to scroll down a bit so we can see the bank. You got to tap on the robbers before they pull out their guns. Let's let one get through for the sake of variety. Just like that. Gotcha. Take that. And there's our credits message. That about wraps it up.